Hello and welcome back to Battlefront News. Just a quick mention before we begin, thank you so much for your support on episode 1 of the Mods and Maps series. The general enthusiasm and the comments I saw were fantastic, so thank you so much for that. Today I have 3 important pieces of news. Firstly, EA will not be making games based off of the Star Wars movies. Secondly, EA are to be making Star Wars games for the next 10 years. And lastly, AMD's Mantle API is to be incorporated into the next 15 games that DICE will help developing. Let's get straight into the news. In a presentation at the UBS Global Technology Conference, EA Chief Financial Officer Blake Jorgensen discussed the details about EA's upcoming Star Wars titles. More importantly, he shed light on a question many of us have, which is, will EA be handling movie-based titles? He starts by saying, "We've done movie games over the years and we wanted to make sure that we weren't doing a movie game, i.e. game based on the movie." So he definitively states here that EA will not be making a game based on the movie. So if there is going to be a game based entirely on one of the new entries in the Star Wars saga, then it will not be developed by EA. He then goes on to say, the beauty of the Star Wars franchise is that it's so broad and so deep. You don't have to do a movie game, you can do a game that's very focused on the world that's been created around Star Wars. I'm glad that Blake realises that Star Wars has an entire universe based around the main plotline portrayed in the films, as some of the universe and expanded universe can be quite interesting, especially once you start delving into the Old Republic era. He also talks about focusing on the world that's been created around Star Wars, so perhaps in any Star Wars games that EA will be publishing, there will be more of an emphasis on backstory and new plotlines, rather than basing the game around the general storyline of the film. An example of this would be Battlefront 2. It was mostly based following the story of the 501st Legion, in their campaign both with the Clone Wars and then during the Galactic Civil War. Although I enjoyed playing these eras, I still think there is a lot of potential for expansion, as long as they don't get too carried away. So to round that off, EA will not be making a game based on the new Star Wars movie. Hopefully the Battlefront reboot will contain elements of the film, perhaps in its own playable era. Overall, I see this as a good move, simply because most games that are based heavily on movies don't have fantastic reputations for being classics. Whereas games which innovate and include the best of both worlds, such as Battlefront, are known as classics, still loved and played by thousands of fans to this day. Now on to our next piece of news. This piece of news was also mentioned by EA's Chief Financial Officer at the same conference. Jorgensen said, "Disney knew that we could help them develop really great games, and we struck what we believe is a fantastic deal, which allows us to be able to build games in many different genres across multiple types of platforms over the next 10 years. So EA are going to have the ability to create Star Wars games for the next 10 years. That's fantastic news. This deal was announced in 2013, so assuming that it is 10 years, EA will lose the ability to create Star Wars games in 2023. With Battlefront releasing in 2015 winter or summer, we have 8 years left to fit in 1 or 2 sequels. Any more than that and I think we would just be crowding the series with half-baked sequels which have little new content and a lack of innovation. So what do you guys think about this news? I'm pleased that they'll have 10 years to create more Star Wars games. Hopefully we'll see a sequel to the Battlefront that they're releasing in 2015 as well. Now onto our final piece of news. Johan Anderson, the technical director of the Frostbite engine, spoke at the APU 13 conference in San Jose. Anderson was speaking about AMD's new API named Mantle, which is estimated to improve performance by up to 20%. During the presentation, Anderson said that Mantle is going to be included in the 15 Frostbite-powered games that was mentioned earlier. The screen shows that it will be included in Star Wars. I'm sure that this means Battlefront, since it's the only confirmed Star Wars game that they are currently developing. However, being as they have not specified, I think it would be best to assume that any new Star Wars game that is being developed using the Frostbite 3 engine will have Mantle support. I'm afraid that's all of the news for today. If you enjoyed the video, a like is very much appreciated, and if you have any friends who would be interested in Battlefront, then feel free to share the video. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next update.